Hey yo, James Gunn Superman is a Saturday morning cartoon. It's like a child's imagination running wild with 225 mil in his pocket to make a movie with. He basically asked himself, what if I made a comic book movie like an actual comic book? For the past decade, a lot of superhero movies, especially ones considered big event films, have taught audiences to expect a grand epic, cinema, if you will. You got your Dark Knights, your Man of Steels, your BVSs that all carry this aura of grand cinema. The types of movies that you can tell the studio wants to see nominated for Oscars. Yeah, James Gunn don't give a F about none of that. He tapped into that child version of himself and said, what if I just had Lex Luthor throw everything at Superman, from Kaiju to men in armored suits to nanobot assassin ladies with saws for hands? Like, I can imagine James Gunn's kid voice as he explains his movie to the studio. And Krypto was there? And he was helping Superman fight the bad guys, and Mr. Terrific was there, and Green Lantern, the one that nobody likes, and Hoult Girl was there beating up people. And I know when I was a kid and I pretended to be one of my favorite superheroes, I never wanted to be Bruce Wayne, Wally West, or Clark Kent. I wanted to be Batman, The Flash, or Superman. And I have a feeling that this was what James Gunn envisioned when he wrote this movie. I'm willing to bet that Superman has more screen time in this movie than any other live-action Superman movie. Like, he's literally in the suit for 90% of this movie doing Superman stuff. I think Clark Kent is in this movie for maybe like 10 or 15 minutes. But for the most part, this movie is all about Superman. There was a lot of concern about James Gunn directing this movie because his previous 4 superhero movies were all teen films. And once Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, Hawk Girl, and Metamorpho were announced, people thought that this would be another Guardians or Suicide Squad situation, that it would be a quasi-Justice League movie. Yeah, those concerns turned out to be unwarranted because as fun as the Justice Gang is, they are truly supporting characters. And probably the biggest favor James Gunn did for these characters is place them in a world where the citizens of Earth are used to metahumans. It's established in James Gunn's DC that metahumans have been around for well over a century. Actually, a few centuries if I remember correctly. So we're not starting over again with a First Contact movie where the human race is meeting Superman and other heroes for the first time. At this point, Superman has been active for 3 whole years. We're not doing any origin stories with the Justice Gang either. Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and Hawk Girl are established superheroes capable of resolving their own missions without Superman's help, which is shown in one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Superman is speaking with Lois, and in the background, the gang is taking down some interdimensional monster. She asks him, are you going to help? He's like, nah, they got it. And they did have it. And bro, Guy Gardner Green Lantern is perfectly annoying in this movie. He's got that cringe bowl cut that nobody over 7 years old should have. His ring constructs are exactly what you expect Guy Gardner to produce. Nothing artsy or complex like other lanterns, but he might flip your tank over with a middle finger. The thing that I've always enjoyed about Guy Gardner is that no matter how much of a tool he is, you can't deny that he's actually a hero. Hawk Girl's the least interesting of the Justice Gang. Not to say that she's bad, but we didn't really get much of her. I do wish Gunn would have gone a different route instead of the above-it-all 20-year-old, but even so, she still has some cool moments, especially one where Gunn signifies that not every superhero in this world is going to have the same moral hangups. But Mr. Terrific though, Mr. Terrific actually stole the show in a lot of scenes he was in. Other than Superman, he was the hero with the most impact on this movie. I love this portrayal of Mr. Terrific, but I will say that Gunn goes full gun during his solo fight scene, and I kind of wish he pulled back on it a little bit. The music cue, which I typically loved in Guardians, I wasn't really a fan of here, but it was still cool as hell to see him fight with the T-Spheres. But this is also what I mean by this world not starting from the beginning. Any other iteration of superhero movie from the past, and Mr. Terrific would have found out he could make T-Spheres in that movie, but Mr. Terrific here is fully Mr. Terrific. And in the same way, Lex is full Lex when we meet him. We don't have to waste time setting up some grand reveal that he's this evil billionaire genius who is also the biggest hater in the world, and I don't see anyone taking that title from him unless Reverse Flash makes his way into the DC universe sometime soon. And Lex's evil plans are the most Saturday morning cartoon stuff you'll ever see. Secret lairs with portals, escape pods built into weirdly constructed buildings, evil scientists who support his cause, and of course, genetically enhanced henchmen. But even with all that, Lex is still ruthless. He does a few things in this movie that shows you that he's not playing around. He's not someone to mess with. He will, yeah, it gets pretty bad. And I love that James Gunn leaned into this weird world of comics by bringing in the characters and concepts from Superman lore, like the robots in the Fortress of Solitude, and of course, that badass dog Krypto. And I mean badass like badass, but also badass like he is not well behaved whatsoever. Bro, I absolutely adored Krypto and his relationship with Superman. He almost never listens to Supes, but he's always there when he needs him. He's a good boy, or more so a goodish boy. He has a few fight scenes with and without Supes that are pretty great, and his final big moment in the movie had me cracking up, yo. Like, just wait for that moment. Despite the zaniness of the movie, there are some heavy stakes and emotional moments in here as well. Choices are made, innocent people die, Superman fails and gets beat up, just like, honestly, in the cartoons. Superman used to get beat up all the time, so I'm not sure why people were so, oh my god, your Superman got beat up, he showed up bloody. Did y'all watch the cartoons? Did y'all read the Superman gets beat up, but he's Superman, so he comes back. But he also wrestles with his identity, who he is versus who people want him to be. The interview scene with Superman and Lois that people tried to paint as a negative was integral to understanding who Clark is fundamentally as a person. It's very black and white with Clark. People need help, you help them. I mentioned earlier that Clark is barely in the movie, but when he is, that's when Gunn slows the movie down to show us his relationship with Lois or Ma and Pa Kent, who are so different from any other iteration we've seen. The Kents are truly some like country bumpkin folk. They're regular as regular people can be, which is intentional. James Gunn is basically saying that the regular, seemingly unremarkable person is capable of having the type of good in them, the good character, to raise a Superman. And speaking of Clark's parents, or in this case, I should say Kal-El's, there was a choice Gunn made with Jor-El and Laura Van, Kal-El's parents, that I wasn't really a fan of, but it wasn't enough for me to dismiss what I did enjoy about this movie. Some of the other negatives I have about this movie are the lack of Perry White and the Daily Planet. It really seems like a lot of that stuff was cut out from the movie. What they left in though was fine, but the inclusion of Cat Grant seemed to be for only one reason, or I should say two reasons, but I'll let you figure that out. The engineer looked cool and her action scenes were dope, but her reasoning for hating Superman was not really well established at all. She said that she did these modifications to herself to take out Superman because she really hated him, but we don't really know the reason why. But like I said, it's a Saturday morning cartoon, a big, beautiful, colorful DC universe where Kaiju stomp through the streets of Metropolis and Superman fights to save every life, even the life of a squirrel. I mean, there's some things I didn't like,
but at the end of the day, you know what I mean?
So overall, I really enjoyed James Gunn's $225 million Saturday morning cartoon of Superman. Simplistic in some parts, really deep and emotional in others, and I just think that this is a positive direction for comic book movies going forward. Not every comic book movie needs to be like this, let me be clear. Like a Batman movie like this, all right, but I would rather have him being the dark and broody one because that's who his character is, right? Superman has different shades to him, and I enjoyed James Gunn exploring this particular shade. But what did you think about the movie? Did you enjoy this shade of Superman, or would you have preferred something a little different? Let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys next time.